Welcome to my action research project. My name is Melissa Pesesky. My vision of a successful teacher is one that has students in the classroom engaged. Teaching my students should not be me standing up in front of the classroom lecturing. Therefore, I want my lesson to be student-driven and inquiry-based and make my students excited to learn. In order to achieve this goal I envision, I will have to really know my students, what are their strengths, and help that to build my inquiry method. In addition, my vision also includes understanding that all students are different. Students in my classroom have different backgrounds, learning styles, and different ideas to bring to the class. It is important for me to teach all of my students, and by knowing them, I can then differentiate a lesson to reach all their learning needs. My final belief and goal is to be a successful teacher is to treat all my students equitably. Students need to have access and be given the tools they need in order to meet their learning goals, and also for me to help them on an individual level. Through research and my own observations, many teachers are intimidated by the inquiry-based approach to student learning. Findings by Pedetri and his colleagues have revealed that many teacher candidates are not likely to use the science, technology, society, and environment approach in their early years of teaching. An issues-based approach to STSE education is plausible within schools, but the necessary knowledge and skills need to be acquired to overturn these uncertainties that one would expect in the STSE education. Ultimately, STSE curriculum and instructions can only occur effectively when both the teachers and their students bring the what and the how. Thus, teachers tend to simply present established facts or reading the textbook approach. However, inquiry has the potential to trigger and activate student curiosity. It all begins with a question, scenario, or problem. With this inquiry mentality and approach in mind, many feel that STSE and STEM helps motivate and encourage teachers to take on an inquiry-based approach to teaching. As an educator and role model, I believe I have an important role to play when it comes to creating an inclusive and engaging classroom for all my students. Through an inquiry-based approach to student learning, I would like to develop engaged and self-directed learners. As a teacher, I want my students to feel supported while they're making decisions about their learning. When I am creating my lessons, I will integrate my students' learning styles, include real-life examples, and what they already know from within their homes and in their community experiences. My initial question that I derived from my research issue was, how can I give students a sense of ownership and responsibility of their learning that has them excited to be in their learning environment? After researching and trying to focus on inquiry-based approach to student learning and to student academic success, I narrowed my action research question to the following. How can the use of STEM-based problem or issue within the school to guide student inquiry impact student achievement? The following are important definitions of terms that you will find in my research project. Inquiry-based learning, oftentimes the teacher will act as a facilitator and the students will develop questions that they are seeking to answer, and then they research and find the appropriate resolutions to the questions and issues. STEAM, also known as Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics, is an educational program very similar to STEM, developed to educate students in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in addition to the integration of the arts. STEM, also known as Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, is an educational program developed to educate students in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics while aiming to foster inquiry minds, logical reasoning, and collaboration skills. STSE, also known as Science, Technology, Society, and Environment, is a viewpoint on science education that aims to teach scientific and technological developments that occur in different economies, cultures, in addition to taking a contextual approach on social and political issues. Students are encouraged to discuss and inquire on issues relating to the impact of science on everyday life and how to address such issues responsibly. The first literary article that I researched for my project is an integrative STEM approach to teaching solar energy collection. In this article, students in a middle school were given an integrative STEM project that affected their local community, in which they researched and investigated how much energy is consumed by the residential hot water heaters. The middle school students were challenged to develop and engineer an alternative to the common electric hot water heater that most of them had in their own homes. Therefore, the students had to design, build, test, collect and evaluate the data that their student-created hot water heater devices. At the end of this project, it was observant that the students' interest and motivation remained high throughout the development of the initial design and test period. In addition, the teachers received positive feedback in the emails and face-to-face discussion with parents. Overall, investigations of solar energy through integrative STEM project not only enlightened students, but provided motivation to the teachers to apply STEM in an alluring manner. This is relevant to my action research because this study used a community-based problem and incorporated it into the students' curriculum to create an inquiry-based project. The second article I reviewed from my study was an effective STEAM activity programs on science learning interests. This article reviews the study that took place in Korea and focuses on how the use of STEAM in the classroom can foster students' interest towards science and creative thinking. This study involved 3 randomly selected grade 4 classes and were studied in Jinju City, South Korea. These classes were then divided into 2 groups, the experimental and control group. The experimental group was taught the unit in a STEAM activity, while the control group learned a different unit by a different teacher without STEAM. At the conclusion of their study, they found that theme-based STEAM education showed an increase in elementary students' self-efficacy and a positive improvement in students' attitude towards science. However, I was surprised that there was no statistical significance to show that students' interest in learning science increased. Perhaps if they had had a larger study group, it may have showed a different outcome. Therefore, with more research and more STEAM-based learning, this approach has the potential to have a positive influence on students' academic education. In the third article that I studied, Promoting Issues-Based STSE Perspectives in Science Teacher Education, Problems of Identity and Ideology. In this paper, it addresses and explores how confident Canadian teacher candidates are with the issues-based STSE teaching, and if they are willing to adopt the STSE perspective in the early years of teaching. During their research, it revealed that many teacher candidates are not likely to take the STSE approach in the early years of teaching due to some or many of the following issues: control and autonomy, support and belonging, expertise in negotiating curriculum, politicalization in action, and biases in ideological events. This is relevant to my action research because it explains part of the problem that I am addressing in my action research as to why teachers are not taking the inquiry-based approach. I'm hoping that through my exploration, my advocacy, and my results encourage more teachers to use STEM-based problem inquiry to improve student learning. My research plan involves 3 data sources, the first being structured observation with a checklist. I chose this source because I'm looking for social interactions and evidence of collaboration in the classroom activities. During my observation, I will make note if students are engaged and how the students are problem solving. The second source I'll be using is video recording. This is a form of data that I'm going to be using to supplement the structured observation. I'm looking for social interactions and evidence of collaboration in classroom activities. It will also assist in looking for any nonverbal signals and cues. The third source I'll be using is student work and projects. Student work and projects will be graded, student work will be assessed as either complete or incomplete, and student projects will be scored on a rubric, all of which will be recorded in the data. While conducting my action research project, in order to ensure validity and reliability of the data I collected, I will not be relying on one source of data collection. I'll be using 3 forms of data collection, all of which will assist in supplementing one another in order to get more accurate data, in addition to taking a qualitative and quantitative approach. Student work and projects will consist of quantitative data. The classroom teacher will collect students' marks, which is the data, of his or her own students prior to the research project, during and after the research project. The classroom teacher will use the same students' classwork of non-inquiry-based projects to compare the students' academic performances. Structured observation with checklists and video recording will consist of qualitative data. Observation of students' interactions, problem solving, and collaboration skills during classroom STEM-based inquiry projects. In addition, when using multiple measures, it not only assists in validating different results, it also makes the data more credible. The data will be collected involves collection before, during, and after the action research project. Having data collection for this longer period of time can give a more accurate and effective and useful results, that can be used to display how the various outcomes have changed over different periods of time. The classroom teacher facilitating the inquiry-based project is responsible for collecting student data. The classroom teacher is collecting data of his or her own students while they are in the classroom. In addition, the classroom teacher will use the same student's classwork of a non-inquiry-based project to see if students perform better academically with an inquiry-based approach. While conducting my research plan, data will be collected until student inquiry project is completed. The projected time of this project will be during the months of March and April. STEM-based inquiry project is projected to be conducted over 4 to 5 weeks every school day for 2 period blocks containing 40 minutes each. Video recording will occur every 10 minutes, with each group being recorded roughly 1 to 2 minutes. Student work will be collected on a daily basis when student inquiry project is being conducted. Student work will be photocopied and date stamped in order to track the student progress. Data will be collected until student inquiry project is completed. At the commencement of the student project will receive a grade that will be outlined with a rubric to record student achievement. Student work and rubric will be compared with students' previous academic work that was not STEM-based inquiry. Ethical considerations will be taken into place while this action research project is being conducted. In order to maintain and ensure confidentiality of all participants during this action research, students' names will not be recorded, and their names on their classroom work will be removed. During video recording, student faces will not be recorded, and student names will not be said during the videos. Overall, conducting an action research study assists me with using actual data to guide my efforts as a teacher to improve student learning. Instead of proposing an idea or theory, I can use data to support my action research that contains something that is a little more concrete, to help teachers take on an inquiry-based approach to student learning. Thank you for listening to my presentation.